Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Yes. The armor was produced by Fairweather in their facilities in Bétancourt, sur la Clé in 42. It was part of a special order for Corps de Pharmacie, a security firm contracted to protect the interests of Oranese pharmaceutical companies in the Semenine conflict. So, it seems the armor went to Semenine. That's where the paper trail ends, though. Even the firm has proven difficult to track. Corps de Pharmacie has been renamed several times over in the years since the armor was issued. The most recently registered firm that the ICP has been able to connect to the CDP is a military contractor called Crenel, and the one before it was Downwell. I think they might be the same contractor.
A suit of armor like this would have been manufactured with a particular person's physique in mind. You should ask for whom this suit was fitted.
Yes, but the ICP tends to be reluctant to share private sector records. I could try to talk them into it, though.
This is a fun challenge for her, an opportunity to contribute beyond doing her job by rote. She'll gladly put in the extra effort for Team RCM.
Glad to help. Call back tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have more for you then. 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers.
Yes? What do you want to know? Good.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance.
Slither up to her, you silver-tongued fiend. Show her what world-class perfidy looks like.
Are you sure? Don't think I haven't seen charlatans before. You're no para-detective. You look nothing like one. And you're clearly a drinker. Pardon me for being so blunt, but...
You look like one. The lieutenant keeps his usual stony calm. He silently picks out his notebook. Go ahead then. Rock her world, he thinks. I'll compose some notes.
How do you know all this?
Here we go.
You're part Simonese. Oh, it means our meeting couldn't have been mere chance. The hand of fate guides us. But I am not the only one at risk. I have to think of my daughter. You are certain you can help us? Keep us safe? I can't allow any collateral damage to hit us. If you promise, good officer, then you might be our last hope. Do you swear it? Thank you, sir. There's one more thing I haven't told you about yet. The entity.
Do not act surprised. You know of these things, sire.
You have? The entity takes the form of a woman, a witch probably. I've suspected that she must be connected to the curse ever since I first saw her. Did you know that she lives inside the chimney? Yes, that chimney is part of the building's central furnace, and it's enormous. She has barricaded herself behind some metal security curtains. God knows what she's doing there. Some unnatural magic, I assume. You should go find the entity and ask what happened to all the companies in the building. What is the source of this curse? Here's the key to the warded door behind the curtains. Take it. Oh, and please do return to me after you've looked round. I'm quite anxious to know what she has to say about the curse. What you discover in there.
Unbelievable darkness and ruin. What you discover? Probably just some office space. Don't be scared. You see a set of tattered curtains blocking the way to another room. A strange cage-like trinket dangles from the curtains. You see a dimly lit room full of dusty furniture and trash. A doorway stands in the back, covered in dozens of scary little Seminese wards, your shadow looming over it like an omen.
Oh!
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds, of Seminese trinkets and charms. It appears to be locked. After exerting some force, you manage to turn the key. It's eerily silent. The door slides slightly open, letting a draft of cold air into the room. You feel the tiny hairs on the back of your neck rise up, as if someone's standing right behind you. Outside, the wind howls in from across the bay. The building at Rue de Saint-Ghislain stands like a matchbox on its side, with men inside like little wooden sticks ready to catch fire. A panicking woman squeezes the pendant around her neck until it leaves a mark inside her palm. A man, a few meters away, stands frozen with a key in his hand. Somewhere inside, a spider is spinning its web.
What is this place? Yes, but no one's been here in ages. I doubt the electricity still works. Good thing we have a flashlight on us.
An eerie feeling rises in your chest.
Yes, because it's closed. No need to look for supernatural explanations where a banal one will do. Now let's move on, shall we?
A barbell lies on the floor. The color has worn off its weight plates. It's 60 kilograms. Your triceps hum at the sight of these weights. Show the world what kind of beast it's dealing with. Lift them. There are no collars on the barbell. This is a safety hazard. Why does it feel so familiar? No, it's not that. It's the stale smell of rubber, the squeaky sound of sneakers, your bruised knee against the mat, and a whistle. Then the feeling is gone. It's just a memory from another life, when you were young and fit. Your flashlight slides over an old green chalkboard covered in scribbles, sketches, and schemes like some ancient cave mural. Some of the writing has faded with age, but you can still make out sections here and there. Photos and drawings have been pinned to the board. These lithe, pointy-eared creatures appear to be different types of welkins. You make out autumnal candle welkins, casting wax-based magic, translucent welkins with organs shining under their skin, and even ether welkins hailing from the vast emptiness of sidereal space. Who are all those creatures? Fantasies of a tortured, feverish mind? You should adopt one of those welkins as your persona. No longer a mere man, but a welkin. One of the welkins, towering among the rest, appears to be different, however. It's Vara Hamira, a high welkin, his face white and scarred like cracked marble. This is clearly a welkin supremacist. The note says, all non-welkin races will be purged. The Haldor, the Twarg, the humans, and even headless men, all of them, purged. Imagine a world filled only with welkin, green welkin, dread welkin, and the high welkin to rule them all.
An inordinate amount of time has gone into drawing these little welkin creatures. Some people really like building a world, I think, even if it's just for a game. This looks like concept art for a project. It's not really real. Just look at those details. So much effort.
And for what? All gone. The photo collage depicts barren, icy landscapes wrapped in perpetual night. You see permafrost and glacial landforms, dead trees grown in under the snow. Entire oceans have been frozen from shore to shore. There are pictures of settlements on dried-up riverbeds, abandoned in a storm. Animal corpses in the dark, carcasses and bones. You see primitive oil rigs built into glaciers, boreal dvorg, yurts under the snow, great mammoth-like beasts of burden. Albeit dark and cold, this vision also feels cozy in its own way, like eggnog or morphine, a much-needed respite from our own world. A pinned postcard reads, "The heat death scenario, a desperate fight for geothermal energy engulfs the world as Wirral becomes untethered from its sun, drifting through the universe." This is a monthly calendar from the year 50. Cryptic words like sprint, daily minimi, and GPI span the marker-drawn grid, the grand scheme of production and money. Minimi stands for a mini-meeting. It's part of a bigger framework for managing work called RUN. Station 41 tried to implement it a few years ago, but failed. As time goes on, the numbers in the boxes grow rarer and rarer. The board becomes an empty snowfield in the final days. Only failure and regret dwell in this region.
Looks like they didn't make it.
A note in the bottom left corner of the chalkboard says, "See the prod schedule filament for details." The handwriting is only partly legible, but you can still make out 3 slogans: Call in, Tune Out, Wirral Untethered, and Heat Death of the Universe. Outside, a cold wind wraps the building in its bosom. Snowflakes in the wind. An old woman passes what the locals call the doomed commercial area. She tries hard not to look at the bookstore windows. It's unwise. This appears to be some kind of machine with a cube-shaped heart and a wired framework. The keyboard has a rectangular on-off button. A piece of paper still hangs from the printer.
A radio computer. Just sitting here without anyone inside.
The machine lights up like some prehistoric animal stirring from its slumber, revealing fluorescent play and print keys on the keyboard. The hatch on the machine's central compartment is wide open. It's empty like a beehive without its brood. Some cables have been left dangling, disconnected
This is where the memory should go.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. This old fireplace is covered in lines drawn in blue and red marker, the mesh spreading over the stone like blood vessels on alabaster skin. It looks ghostly and strangely ancient. A diagram for summoning some time-forgotten being? The symbols seem very esoteric. The whole thing resembles Kadran mosaic tiles. Very pedantic. History classes, students with their textbooks open, studying the roots of our civilization. Those aquarelle blue tiles looked beautiful in the sun. Radio frequencies, it seems. UKV 123.6, UKV 123.7, UKV 123.9. Some written notes, too. Sparse and cryptic. Unclear. It looks like a cardiovascular system split into veins and capillaries. Very advanced. You think so? The web is comprised of radio stations, all lead back to one red heart, titled the Game Master Frequency. A note says, this one can listen in on any station it wants. Whoever decides to call in to a call-in station, it looks like. All of this is gone, left unrealized. There's no way a little basement studio working here could pull anything like this off.
My God. It's as if the less money they had, the more ambitious their project became. The schedule. I know doom when I see it. The company was running out of funding.
Nothing. It's just lines on marble. An echo from times long gone. No one has used the fireplace in ages.
Okay. What do you think is going on with that computer, chalkboard, and fireplace? No, that's not it. I think it looks like one of those popular pen and paper role-playing games, only these people were trying to automate it, make it work on radio computers.
Utter madness, he thinks, as a compliment.
Through call-in stations, none of the players have to be physically present. Anyone in the world can participate in the game, as long as they have a two-way radio. Then there's the Game Master Frequency that listens in on the smaller call-in stations. I think that was supposed to coordinate the stories, functioning as a master of ceremonies of sorts. Not to my knowledge. They make automated games in Graz, Messina, Königstein. You know, places with industry.
Not in Revachol West, among the ruins.
But I don't think anyone has attempted to create an interinsulary game before. We just don't have the technology. Indeed, those Welkins are a dead giveaway. Role-playing people love that stuff. The world looks like a modified version of the WeWorld board game, with hit death thrown in.
Super cool. Someone should give them millions of real, immediately. This game is too good to be left unfinished.
No idea. They stopped filling out the schedule on the chalkboard. Indeed, it's ambitious and untethered from reality, but... Yes, especially in here. Okay, let's keep moving.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. Like a smooth draw, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking. A bar of fabric right above the keyboard starts producing a soft hum. The sound of static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. Have you stirred the ghost of the doomed commercial area from its rest? Could this be its dismembered heart beginning to flutter? The static gets louder, slowly filling up the abandoned hall, until a voice speaks out, crackling and old, cutting into the air.
Good afternoon. Fortress accident en rue de Saint-Ghislaine. This is East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the production schedule? The filament you have inserted into the reader. Yes. Is that the production schedule? Good. Please repeat the password.
Password? Of course it would have a password. That's why there's a human administrator involved. You should ask her for a hint.
No.
A hint system is not part of the protocol for repeater stations.
Still no. Received. I will register this login attempt.
Don't worry. Passwords have a way of turning up sooner or later.
Fortress accident. Is there anything else? Fortress accident is the company on whose name the terminal you are currently using has been registered to. One moment. Fortress accident SCA produces revolutionary interactive call-in radio games. That's what the catalog says.
That's not bad.
Any other questions? Yes, I am alive. I am 74 years old and my name is Yvonne.
She repeats passwords. Programming people are all paranoid.
I work as a repeater at the East Insulindian Repeater Station. It's my job to know where you are, Fortress Accident. As for me, well, I am sitting in my cubicle, surrounded by a wall of radios.
On an island on the river Esperance, a small woman, all skin and bones, sits in a room filled with audio equipment. Thousands of tiny lights are reflected back from her prescription lenses, like stars in the dark. Doesn't it get lonely, sitting there all by herself?
Lonely? Why would it get lonely? I get to talk to people all day.
That's why she does this.
Now, please tell me if there's anything else I can do, Fortress Accident. Good. Please repeat the password. I am contractually obliged.
I'm afraid we are not doing that. Unless
Now, can you please press
Don't worry.
Fortress Accident? Thank
Tiles on the cube are the filament slides out of. You see a terrifying ice bear with a strange compartment in its belly. The door is covered in frost and the bear's eyes are glowing red. The bear looks oddly realistic. Is it taxidermy? The lieutenant doesn't answer. His eyes are glued to the animal. A sharp slice of light shines out from its mysterious belly door. A gust of freezing cold air rushes to greet you. You hear a low grumble as the bear regulates itself. This is the inside of a refrigerator. The lieutenant takes a peek inside. His hand has found the holster of his gun.
of course, just a giant ice bear-shaped fridge. Let's take a look inside.
The shelves are empty. All you see are crumpled ice cream wrappers with the brand name, Revachol Ice City. A handwritten note has been attached to the door. The fridge is huge. You pocket the note and the little fridge magnets keeping it on the door. A friendly cartoon bear smiles back at you from a glossy cellophane wrapper. It looks nothing like the fridge.
Good question. It looks like an ice cream fridge. I know. What an unfortunate marketing choice. What is even worse, the bear is still costing them money to this day.
The fridge buzzes with energy. The electricity bill on this thing must be catastrophic. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Looks like this furnace has a face, and it's a face of agony.
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney. No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above. A voice or several voices talking to each other. Near the smoke chamber, upstairs.
What are you doing? Wait, really? We should investigate, see if someone's upstairs.
You muster all your strength and yell. Your dehydrated, hungover throat can produce little more than a dry croak. A lifetime of smoking and drinking will do that to you. The chatter from the chimney continues on as before. You seem to have made no impression on whatever's up there. Then again, maybe it's worth actually trying something up there.
Maybe you should let your voice rest, officer. Try again later.
A hollow ring echoes through the furnace. Your toe hurts. A lush layer of coal now covers your skin, sinking into the wrinkles. Your hands look ancient. You feel the spirit of Ramut Karzai, ancient hero of Grad, pulsing through you. All that's left is to cover your face in war paint. Yes, how grown up. The lieutenant seems relieved as well.
You're right. The rooms do look like they're connected. But malignant entities don't exist. At least not the supernatural kind.
Always has to be the skeptic, this man. The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Suliswaf.
Looks like someone from that radio game company upstairs. I'm a little surprised they just left their property lying here. That's a plausible hypothesis. It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? It's like one of your disco tapes, only for a computer. Really? You don't have a single guess? Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on a filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter. I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the ice bear fridge.
A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see in.
Seems like an old bunker from the revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache. There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole. Interesting. Do you want to take a look?
Your hand reaches deep into darkness and spiderwebs. Rummaging around, you find rusty rifles hidden away. Most of them are rusty and inoperable, like the rest, but one catches your eye. A bolt-action model with a fine wood stock, in better cosmetic order than the others. Take it. You're a police officer. Police officers carry guns.
That's a rare sight. Seems to no longer be functional, but still a beautiful thing in its own way. It's the same type of weapon, yes, a breech loader. An interesting coincidence that we should find something so similar. But I'm afraid our search for the real murder weapon must continue. It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in Martinez. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful in the future.
He likes this find. This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top and an electric freezer that appears to be frozen shut. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance you hear water dripping. It's all gone now. You'll never become a poet or an entrepreneur. You slip your fingers under the frozen lid, but the ice is too cold for you to get a good grip. A pry bar would come in handy here. If you want to try again, then you need to have the pry bar in your hand, detective.
Equip the pry bar.
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top and an electric freezer that appears to be frozen. This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has the ice squeaks beneath the pry bar. You think you've got the bar jammed in there pretty well, but the lid simply won't budge. You see the pry bar's metal handle bending right before your very eyes.
Yeah, well, that's a good pry bar. I'm not criticizing it, but this ice cream maker is frozen shut. I have no idea, officer. This ice cream maker isn't important enough to requisition a special tool.
Sooner or later, you will stumble upon a tool mighty enough. Then we will know what's in this mysterious ice cream maker. Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge, and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby. Something close to you dies with a soft electric purr.
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has one cable missing. This orange machine is dead. You slip your... If you want...
Equip the pry bar by going to the Tools tab.
This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner. The ice squeaks beneath the pry bar. You see the pry bar's metal hand.
Yeah, well, that's a good... I have no idea.
Sooner or later, your flashlight. Some of the writing has... This old diagram, the whole thing resembles Kate. An iron safety curtain curves before your eyes, folded like a bellows. It covers half the room, blocking the way into a colossal industrial chimney. This must be where the entity lives. This is directly above the central furnace in the cellar. The voices probably came from here. Again, your voice becomes a raspy croak mid-sentence. It's silent in the abandoned office building. No one answers you. A sudden bout of self-pity comes over you. Sire, may we suggest something? Think of the yelling into the furnace as a, perhaps it's not such a bad... A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. Then,
Hello?
You've awakened the entity.
Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the second floor. I'll open it.
You hear a low rumble upstairs, the sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Melius.
So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelie is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there's any particular stone you want to use.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shelves like stalagmites. This person means you, or no one else, absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and honestly. No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items. She's thankful for the security they provide her.
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
Who cares about the dead body? We might be dealing with a malignant entity here. The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire. She's not sorry to disappoint you. Informing on someone in a murder investigation would intrude upon her focused existence.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness. It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse.
Creative.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad.
Me neither. I just want it off my face. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemiteps Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milieux. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a sub-Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-Roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. Yeah, the atelier didn't know it either. They produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. At least it had some spark to it. Most young designers just combine lace with leather and call it original.
As she shifts around, you notice several dead flies on the windowsill in front of her. Legs up. They're not moving.
Anything else? They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. The usual, I imagine. That he's been thinking up all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns.
Men like that are a curse.
Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skis and blades are still lying around in the house. Not much use now, I guess.
They were just the props. Why return them?
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio.
She liked them.
They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic. And
she's right. Showing up to work on time is important.
not the wisest decision. You would have lost all your savings.
The dice is black and filled with little silvery flakes, like snowfall.
Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revachol ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed. What were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Sounds like she really didn't like those girls.
Employing silky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At least that's what happened with Revachol ICT. And they already had the bear. The bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Revachol ICT lost the price war to its rival, Class A 5000. Class A 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. Maybe, because the taxidermist who made that bear definitely wasn't. Doing his best, I mean. He said that the bear was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. Called it Megatherion.
Sounds cool.
It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life. By telling you to do more drugs, mostly.
The horrific necktie tightens around your neck, strangely excited. But it doesn't feel particularly fun this time around.
Very good. You shouldn't do them. You're a police officer after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire.
Outside it's light. Light scatters from the low-hanging cloud cover. There's always the threat of snow.
Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long time. Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion.
The doorbell with the empty name card must belong to her then.
That's right. I haven't even written my name there. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. Sure, I'm listening. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work. Sure, I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else? I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? Oh, right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in racks? Some people say it's part of the building complex. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it?
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
I was just about to ask, what do you think? Do you think the curse is real?
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Exactly. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can help you with today?
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see. Plaisance is not going to like what you have to tell her. You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here. She has begun to idly clean one of her carving tools. Looks like someone tried to reconceptualize their business here. Look, the skis and rotor blades both bear the same slipstream logo. It seems likely that they started out making one, failed to turn a profit, and then pivoted to producing the other. That's a good question. Not quite. You do know that there's something unusual about this company's business model.